Good morning, everyone. Welcome to AERO Oklahoma 2025. You are 1,000 Oklahomans strong today. 250 students are here today from 20 high schools, 200 military personnel from 5 military installations, over 60 exhibitors from 60 companies, and you are the heartbeat of Oklahoma aerospace and defense. Welcome to your state capital. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my privilege and honor to introduce and start our program today. If we could just quiet ourselves for just a little bit, please, because in a moment we are going to ask for our invocation for a blessing on this day and on this industry. If I could have those talking in the back, if you could please silence your cell phones and bring your conversations to a close. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could please bring your conversations to a close. It's my honor and privilege to introduce Mr. Aerospace, Senator Paul Rosino.
Good morning, everyone. This is probably the best day of the year for me at the Capitol, is being around all the people that love aerospace and aviation as much as I do. I do want to give a shout out to everyone that's in uniform today. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for serving our country. We are here because of what you do, so thank you so much. It was mentioned earlier that we have a bunch of students here today. I want all the students to look around and see the future they have in aerospace and aviation. If you've ever heard me speak before, I say it every time. I love our oil and gas people. They're wonderful. I appreciate them very much. They're very good at what they do, and they perform a whole lot of functions and fund our government. But Oklahoma's aerospace and aviation now is number 2, and we've been number 2 for a while, and we're about $44 to $45 billion in economic impact on the state of Oklahoma. By the time I leave the legislature, we want aerospace and aviation to be number 1. Number 1. So, and the only way that happens is by industry. That is by you guys who are working, who are employing people, who are coming to the state of Oklahoma. We are a phenomenal state to do business. We love you guys. We care very much about everything you're doing. Now we need you to go home and tell all your friends and your family and the people who have kids and say, hey, when you get out of high school, go to college and do something in aerospace, or go to career tech, do something in aerospace. There is a job for you, and it pays well. And we want you to stay in Oklahoma, and we want you to give back to this state. So with that, I just want to say again, thank you all for being here. It is a phenomenal day. You should be very proud of everything you do for our country, everything you do for our state, and for the people of Oklahoma. And it's my honor to introduce the chairman of ODAA, Mr. Blake Rainey, to give the invocation.
Thank you, Senator Rosino. Let us bow our heads in prayer. Father, we thank you for this day, that we get to come celebrate the gift and blessing of aviation that has impacted so many lives in our state. Thank you for the pioneering spirit of Oklahomans before us, taking bold steps of faith and sacrifice that has opened the door for industry advancement and opportunity for all. Distant families to connect, communities to grow, and individuals to seek the best treatment. But no matter where our travels take us, you are there. Your word says in Psalm 139, "Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me. Your right hand will hold me fast." So Father, we know you are here even in this moment and are grateful for your presence. We thank you for the headwinds in life that you use to grow us, make us stronger, and provide lift for good and your glory. Align us on your heading to do your will. God bless this day, and God bless the great state of Oklahoma. Amen.
Good morning. I am Senator Darcy Yick, and it's great to be here. Thank you, Commissioner Rainey, for that invocation. It's always great to start any event with a word of prayer, so I appreciate that very much. I'd like to share just a few words. First of all, the Rotunda and the Capitol never looked better, so thank you all for being here. Thank you for the students, for the vendors and all that make this possible. So this place, this is your house, so thank you for being here. I'm very proud of you all coming out. I'm very proud to be a part of this program. I do want to say that unlike prior legislative sessions, in this session, we're concentrating on our role as legislators and working with these people, working with this industry to do what we can to make it continue to progress in Oklahoma. I'm proud to be the chairman of the Senate Aeronautics and Transportation Committee, and it's in that role that I work with agencies and with these people in this room on advancing that policy throughout the state of Oklahoma. So I'm proud to serve in that role in the state Senate. This is another great showing, just like we have every year. I want to congratulate Director Arties and his staff for putting this all together. I left here late last night and this place was completely empty and quiet. Got here this morning and we see this transformation today. So Director, wherever you are, and Sandra, wherever you are, thanks to you and your staff for putting this all together. This is fantastic. I'm proud to be a part of it. In my role as the Senate Aeronautics Committee, I welcome your conversations, whether it's you students or the vendors here. I welcome your conversations, your suggestions, and your ideas. We're all in this together, but I welcome those conversations to work with you, to collaborate, to make this a better state, make it more friendly for this industry. So please know that my door is always open to those thoughts and those ideas, and I welcome continuing to advance this process as we're doing in Oklahoma. So thank you again. Welcome to your state capitol and AERO Oklahoma 2025. It was at this time that I was going to introduce the pro tem of the state Senate, that's Senator Lonnie Paxton. Unfortunately, Senator Paxton shares his regrets. He's in another meeting. He's not able to make it, but he did send a few thoughts that he wanted me to share with you, so I'm happy to do that at this time. Some of the things that he asked me to mention to this group was the aviation and aerospace industry provides nearly 206,000 jobs and $11.7 billion of payroll to the state of Oklahoma. That's fantastic. Think about those numbers. The industry generates an impressive $44 billion in annual economic activity. The average annual salary in aviation and aerospace is just over $73,000, so some quality jobs to be sure. Oklahoma has one of the highest concentrations of skilled aviation workers and aircraft repair facilities in the world. That's something we can hang our hat on, and that's something that's going to continue to grow and help to attract these industries to our state, so I thank you for that. Again, Pro Tem Paxton sends his regrets, and it's at this time I'd like to introduce the next speaker for you, and that's Representative Nicole Miller. Representative Miller.
Well, good morning. Thank you for everyone for being here. It means so much to us to have you here today, and just in support of everything that we do collectively as a state for aviation and aerospace. So I'm Nicole Miller, and I have the great opportunity to chair the funding side of transportation for the House, which includes aviation, aerospace, and aeronautics. So I am here to actually introduce our current Speaker of the House. Wonderful, wonderful person, very, very supportive of aviation aerospace. In fact, some of our first interactions were with that. So this session has certainly been very busy with all our aerospace and bills, and I have authored many of them. And I am proud to be a part of this exciting industry and working with Chairman Yak, Woods, and Johns to enhance Oklahoma's air transportation system, including vertiports, for the use of unmanned aircraft systems and advanced air mobility. We have tremendous support in both chambers for aerospace and aeronautics. And is Speaker Hilbert here with us? Okay, it is my great honor to introduce and welcome our current Speaker of the House, Kyle Hilbert.
Hey, good morning. I'm Representative Chris Kennedy. I serve as the counselor to the Speaker of the House, Kyle Hilbert, and I'm here on his behalf to welcome you to the Capitol and the House of Representatives. As you probably know, with the funding we've had through ARPA, we've been able to infuse about $250 million into aerospace. And on behalf of the Speaker, I would tell you we're still committed to what you're doing, how you do it, and going forward and investing even more money, time, and resources in what you do. So on behalf of Speaker Kyle Hilbert, thank you for being here today.
We are holding for the Lieutenant Governor. If everyone will just give us just a minute. In this building today, there is so much happening. So we are working on bills from the opposite House of Origin, and there's a caucus today in the Senate, and Speaker Hilbert is on his way from his office right now. So if you'll give us just a moment, we will be right with you. I do want to point out today some of our partnerships, and we want to thank so much for the people that help us put on Aerospace Day at the state capitol. And we want to recognize the ACES team over here with the Oklahoma Department of Commerce, our partners Boeing, American Airlines, Pratt, Whitney, and so many others. And we thank you so much for coming today. Let me tell you, let's give them a round of applause. Yes. Your water today is brought to you by Critical Components, and they are a wonderful aerospace company right here in Oklahoma City. There's so many companies that are doing great things across the state. Just to feature and highlight some things that are happening here today at the Capitol, at 11:30 there's a UAS and unmanned luncheon, and that is in the House Caucus Room in room 110. It's a smaller room, so if you're not interested in unmanned or UAS, don't go there for me. But this is the most important thing I want you to do for me today. If you're not in the ACES luncheon today at 11:30 and you did not pre-register for the ACES luncheon, that luncheon is now closed. It's sold out. So what we would like for you to do is come at noon to the House chamber, and this is your opportunity today to sit in the House chamber on the House floor in the House of Representatives chairs and in the gallery, and we're going to have the first ever aerospace town hall. So we want to welcome everybody, and we're going to turn it back over to Representative Kennedy.
All right, I'm back because we actually do have the Speaker of the House. So it's my pleasure to introduce you to my boss, Speaker Kyle Hilbert.
Well, thank you, Representative Kennedy. Wow, what a crowd, what an excitement, what an exciting day. I have 3 aerospace companies in my district and often get asked to speak about aerospace and have spoken at Aero Day in the past. And I was thinking yesterday, what am I going to talk about? Because everything is so exciting around aerospace. And so I decided, you know what, I'm going to call my little brother, because my little brother works in aerospace. And so I called him this morning and I said, hey, I'm going to give a speech today and I want to talk about you. And of course that made my little brother pretty nervous when I said that. He said, well, what do you want to talk about? I said, well, tell me what it's like. You were driving an hour to work every day, and then you got a job at a local company in aerospace, and now you help build airplanes. He said, well, Kyle, I don't really build airplanes. I'm just in the supply chain. And I said, well, the guys that build the airplanes wouldn't be able to do it if you weren't acquiring the parts that help make it happen. I said, so what do you enjoy about it? He said, well, what I enjoy about it is it allows me to not have to drive an hour one way to work every day. I have 2 kids, and it saves me 2 hours every day of getting to spend more time with my kids, and I've got a great career in aerospace. And I think that's a message that resonates not only for him, but also for countless people throughout the state of Oklahoma. Whether you're in urban Oklahoma or rural Oklahoma, wherever you are, we have aerospace opportunities throughout the state of Oklahoma that create opportunities for people If you grew up in urban Oklahoma and you want to stay in urban Oklahoma, there's opportunities to do that. But there's also opportunities, if you were born and raised in rural Oklahoma, to stay in rural Oklahoma and not just have a job, but have a career in aerospace. And so couldn't be more excited to be here for Aero Day. You can see the excitement in the room and in the building. Everybody loves aerospace, and it's just an honor as Speaker of the House to welcome you here today. And I know our next speaker is Lieutenant Governor for the state of Oklahoma, Matt Pinnell, and there is no better advocate for the state of Oklahoma and all the great things that we've been doing, championing us in all 77 counties, than the Lieutenant Governor for the great state of Oklahoma, Matt Pinnell.
Another round of applause for the youngest Speaker of the House in the country, Kyle Hilbert. He loves it when I introduce him that way, but again, I love that we've got some young blood. I see a lot of young people in the room. Again, you too can be a 31-year-old Speaker of the House if you're as impressive as Kyle Hilbert is. So thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up for the second largest industry in the state of Oklahoma, aerospace. Think about that. Number two, I would say well on your way of being number one. And we usually never have pipe and drape this nice of a setup for a day at the Capitol. But again, when it comes to aviation and aerospace, we roll out the red carpet because this really is the future for the state of Oklahoma. I want you to hear that on behalf of the Lieutenant Governor's office, the Governor's office. Really one of the backbones of our state moving forward is going to be aerospace and aviation. We have a long legacy of aerospace aviation success dating back over 100 years. Think about that. And now employing over 206,000 Oklahomans in the state of Oklahoma. A $54 billion with a B impact in your state today. The average salary, over $74,000 of someone working inside this industry. And again, I see a lot of young talent. If you're here today, you can't leave the state. You got to work in the aerospace industry in the state of Oklahoma. We have 5, again, military installations, 2 Air National Guard operations, many aerospace assets, as you all know, across the state. And yes, the maintenance repair capital of the world as well. And we're number one in the nation. I want to mention this too, finally, number one in the nation for the number of schools that teach aviation curriculum for graduation credit. That deserves a round of applause. That's nearly double. That's nearly double the number of any other state, including Texas, by the way. There are more than 85 programs across the state of Oklahoma today. And finally, what I tell you, when it comes to this industry, we have to have a workforce. We have to have kids that want to get into this industry. The good news is that Oklahoma is growing. We're number 8 in the country today in net migration growth. More Texans moved to Oklahoma last year than Oklahomans that moved to Texas. So I can do this. I can do one of these, horns down, okay? Yes, get a picture of this. We want to partner with Texas companies, but to be able to say as a politician from Oklahoma that more Texans are moving to Oklahoma than vice versa, we haven't been able to say that in a very long time. Oklahoma is on the rise. We've done it the right way. We're building world-class cities across the state of Oklahoma. We've got generations that want to stay in Oklahoma and move to Oklahoma. And if we're going to continue to grow that way, we have to make sure that we prioritize our aviation and aerospace industry and defense contract work that we have across the state of Oklahoma. So I want to say again, you're in the right place today. You're in the right industry. Because if Oklahoma is going to be a top 10 state, if we're going to be everything that we want to be to keep our kids and grandkids inside the state and pull in more people to the state of Oklahoma, it's going to be aerospace that is going to lead the way. So God bless you, and God bless the free state of Oklahoma. Thank you all so much.
All right, I'm back again. So I have another role here in the state other than being an elected representative. I also serve as a colonel in the Air National Guard. So I have to be really nice to the next guy because he's my boss. So I'm going to introduce you to Brigadier General Chris Eason. He is the commander of the Air National Guard. He's also a lawyer. I know that because I went to law school with him. But it is my pleasure to introduce you to the commander of the Air National Guard, Brigadier General Chris Eason.
All right, hey, good morning, everyone. Hey, on behalf of General Mancino and the soldiers and the airmen of the Oklahoma National Guard, thank you for the opportunity to be here today to talk about some of the significant accomplishments and developments in specifically the Oklahoma Air National Guard. For those of you who don't know, I know a lot of industry people here, a lot of people with aviation backgrounds. Air National Guard, enterprise-wide, makes up about 30% of the Air Force, for about 7 to 10% of the Air Force's budget, depending on how you crunch the numbers. There's about 106,000 people in the Air National Guard, and here in Oklahoma, we have about 2,300 plus Oklahoma Air National Guard members, divided up between two wings, the 137 Special Operations Wing and the 138 Fighter Wing. What I'll say about this, the Air National Guard is the most cost-effective, lethal, ready, and experienced component in the entire Air Force. Don't just take my word for it. Several studies out of DC, and a lot of experience points on the board to prove that point. But two other things. The Air National Guard here in Oklahoma is relevant for the Indo-PACOM fight, if there should be one, and also to defend the homeland. We'll talk a little about that here with respect to the two wings. The dual-use component of the Air National Guard here in Oklahoma is absolutely critical to our partnerships here that are being highlighted today. With respect to the 137 Special Operations Wing, a lot of big things going on right now. The OA-1K Skyraider 2, the new aircraft, is happening this weekend. This Saturday, there'll be an unveiling. There are three essential components of this new platform: armed overwatch, signals intelligence capabilities, and precision strikes. And again, with that dual use capability here for Oklahoma and our homeland, but also to reach out abroad to accomplish DoD objectives. There also will be the only formal training unit for the entire Air Force will be right here in Oklahoma City at Will Rogers Air National Guard Base, in addition to an operational squadron. The takeaway from that, ladies and gentlemen, is that the newest mission in the Air Force is right here in Oklahoma City, with the men and women of the Oklahoma Air National Guard leading the way on that front. They just converted, this is worth talking about for a second here, they just converted from the MC-12W, which is a manned ISR mission, and recently I had the opportunity to go down to Colombia, where they just ripped out of about a 4+ year deployment, continual rotational deployment down there, doing counter-narcotics and counter-terrorism work. The 137 SAL is the most deployed wing in the Air National Guard. A lot of people here in Oklahoma don't realize that, but the contributions not only here in Oklahoma, but abroad are immeasurable, and they're significant, and they're relied on every day by the taxpayers here in America. But while I was down there, I met 5 airmen who were their first deployments. So I want to speak to the students who are here, and the parents of prospective students, and also our friends in the legislature. While I was down there, I asked them, why'd you join? What's your story? All of them wanted to wear the cloth in the nation, but all of them, every single one of them, the educational assistance the state of Oklahoma provides through the legislation that you all passed, that we are so grateful for, all of them reply with that answer. And that is one of the reasons why we're #1 in recruiting, especially recently during the lull in recruiting before it started to tick back up. So thank you very much to our friends in the legislature for that. And for the students out there, there's great educational benefits that you can exercise immediately by joining the Oklahoma Air National Guard. And if you remember, General Mancino talked about this at the joint session last year. While we're #1 in recruiting in the Oklahoma National Guard, we also want to be #1 in retention. And so that's our pivot point now, and that's our focus now. So thank you very much to our friends in the legislature for that support, because we couldn't do this stuff without support. Turning now to the 138th Fighter Wing. There's 21 F-16s assigned to the 138th Fighter Wing. It's the second highest number of PAA in the Air National Guard, and they're very relevant here for the current objectives by the current Secretary of the Department of Defense for any potential conflict in Indo-PACOM, but also for defending the homeland. they have responsibility for the southern border of the United States with their ACA mission. And importantly, relevant for today, they were hand-selected as the #1 of 12 Air National Guard fighter wings to be the Pathfinder wing for the Air Force's new construct for a deployable combat wing. So again, 137th leading the way in new missions in soft power, 138th leading the way in combat air power and recognized on a national basis. Last, UAS and counter-UAS. The nature of warfare has drastically changed. It is drastically changing. We all know that. Camp Gruber out in eastern Oklahoma is very, very quickly becoming a center of excellence for counter-UAS and UAS initiatives. I want to personally thank Director Ardes with ODAA for his partnership, and again, the legislature and the governor for their support. Public partnerships, higher educational partnerships, technological partnerships, and also DoD components, also foreign components, are reaching out right here to the men and women in Oklahoma to partner with us in this very, very critical space. As a drill status guardsman, 2/3 of us in the Oklahoma National Guard are drill status guardsmen. And what does that mean? That means we have civilian jobs. That means we balance our family as #1 priority. We have a civilian job, which is full-time as well, and then we have our guard duty. So it's not just 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks out of the year, especially with the most deployed wings in the Air National Guard. These men and women, these airmen and soldiers here, they sacrifice a lot to serve the people of Oklahoma and the people of this country. But as you can see, this is a time for great, great change. And in my civilian job, I work for the Department of Justice. I'm up in DC a lot. Time of great change. And what that means is outside the box is now squarely on the table. So it's a time for great opportunity. And with these partnerships that are forged here today and built here today and sustained here today, we look forward to accomplishing all of this together with you all. Thank you for your time.
Okay, so the great thing about the United States military is a concept called total force. So you heard from Brigadier General Easton, who is a member of the Oklahoma National Guard, the commander, but that's not his full-time job. We also have 2 other service components with the reserves and then our active duty brothers and sisters. So it is definitely my pleasure to introduce to you the Deputy Commander of the 72nd Air Base Wing at Tinker Air Force Base, Colonel Tamlin Dismukes.
All right, good morning, everybody. I'm so excited to be here for AERO Oklahoma. This event is crucial for recognizing the vital role Oklahoma's aviation, aerospace, and defense industry has, and the economic engine for Oklahoma. So for over 80 years, Tinker Air Force Base and the Oklahoma community have had an amazing partnership. So we simply couldn't accomplish the mission that we do for our national security without the community that we have here in Oklahoma. So I like to say that the best communities make the best bases, and this is by far the best community I have ever experienced. I got here in July. It was evident in the first day I stepped foot in this great state. So thank you for that support. From the initial land donation in 1941 to the recent acquisitions of land to support the KC-46, the B-21, we're one of the very, very few Air Force bases that are expanding our mission and our real estate, and that is because of the great state of Oklahoma. So this ensures that our nation has what we need to fly, fight, and win now and in the future. So since the 1940s, Tinker has grown to encompass 9.24 square miles, which is almost 6,000 acres dedicated to military operations. We're a true national defense asset. We host the headquarters for the Air Force Sustainment Center. We have the largest air logistics complex in the Air Force. We have the 448th Supply Chain Management Wing, the 557 Air Control Wing, the 507th Air Refueling Wing, and the Navy's Strategic Communications Wing 1. Those are only just some of our mission partners. We have 45 others across 8 MAGCOMs and defense agencies. So we are so excited to be here in the state of Oklahoma supporting our national defense. We also have over 27,000 employees, big A airmen when we're talking military, civilians, contractors on our base every single day, critical to the national defense of our great nation. So the Secretary of Defense has emphasized maintaining the strongest and most lethal force around the world. And Tinker Air Force Base is committed to doing our part to ensure Air Force readiness, lethality, and deterrence of our adversaries. So Oklahoma's Aero Day underscores Oklahoma's pivotal role in aviation and aerospace industry, not just within our state, but globally. We've made remarkable advancements in aviation and aerospace, constantly pushing boundaries. Oklahoma has been and continues to be a driving force in this progress, both in innovation and achievement. So thank you for your continued support of Tinker Air Force Base, of the military in this great state of Oklahoma. I hope you have an amazing Tinker Strong Day.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for attending Aerospace Day here at the Capitol. This is extremely important. And so I'm Representative Nick Archer. I represent House District 55. For those of you who aren't unfamiliar with House District 55, we house one of the 14 licensed spaceports in the nation. That is located in Burns Flat. The Oklahoma Space Industry Development Authority operates that. It is the 5th longest runway in the United States and was previously the alternate landing site for the shuttle missions. And so space, aerospace has been extremely important to me. It's something that our district deeply cares about. And I do have the distinct privilege to introduce the next speaker. Former NASA Administrator Jim Bridenstine was called to DC, so unfortunately, former Congressman, former NASA Administrator is not here with us today, but we do have Gabe Sherman with the Artemis Group, his partner in all of their space ventures. Gabe has become a close friend in everything we've tried to do at House District 55 and at the spaceport. And so without further ado, I would like to introduce you all to Mr. Gabe Sherman.
Man, what an amazing crowd. This is incredible. The ODAA team, everything they did to pull Aero Day here at the Capitol together is so impressive. Just thank Sandra and Grayson for all the great work that they've done to make today happen. Look, my name's Gabe Sherman. I was the former Chief of Staff at NASA during Trump 1.0, but I've been a lifelong Oklahoman where aerospace has always been a part of my life. American Airlines right here next to me brought my mom and dad to Oklahoma almost 40 years ago, and aerospace has been a part of my story ever since. So thank you, American Airlines. Just a good plug for those guys. But I want you to understand something real quick. Today, the students that are here, so much of what we're doing today is about the students. Like all of these booths, everybody that's participating, we want to see the industry thrive here in the state of Oklahoma. So we have jobs for people when they get out of college to stay right here in Oklahoma, raise their families, and have great aerospace work to do that fundamentally changes the direction of our country. The state of Oklahoma has a history in space that is rich, and so many people don't even understand that we put parts of the Saturn V rockets that took Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin to the moon together right here in the state of Oklahoma, that we built the space shuttle bay doors right here in Oklahoma, that we built the truss structures on the International Space Station right here in Oklahoma. And so while we think about aerospace, I want to focus on space for just a second. There's an opportunity for a space renaissance here in the state of Oklahoma. And what we've already seen through the leadership of Representative Archer, Chairwoman Miller, the Lieutenant Governor Pinnell, is we are leaning in and starting to bring space back to the state of Oklahoma. We've got some incredible space companies here right now. Think about Prior Aerospace in Tulsa, Frontier Electronics in Stillwater. But man, we are moving new infrastructure and new companies to the state of Oklahoma. They're going to provide jobs for these students, not only for today, but for the 30 and 40 years down the road. So our state has always done a tremendous job serving the needs of our nation on a national security perspective. And the national security needs of our country in space are driving growth in that new warfighting domain. And so much of what we are looking at in space has to do with our national security, and Oklahoma needs to be at the center of it, driving things forward, meeting the needs of our nation like we always have. So it's an exciting time not only to be in aerospace, but to be thinking about space as students, as you guys are considering your next stops in your careers. We're going to do our job to get more space jobs here for the state so that you can raise your families here just like I have, and it be a generational impact of aerospace like we've already seen. So it's an honor to be with you guys. Sorry Jim couldn't be here. He sends his regrets. Maybe next year we can convince him to get here. But it's just an honor to be with you guys today. So at this time, I think we have State Senator Adam Pugh that's about to come up. And again, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today.
All right, good morning. But before I begin, I want to bring our local celebrity up here, Chase Rutledge. Come on up. We're going to do a selfie because we do this every year. So Chase is going to lead us in a selfie. I think you're going to be able to pull this off. All right, let's do it.
Awesome.
Great.
Hey, this is going to be awesome. You guys buckle up. It's going to be a great day. Really get to know all these people around here. It's going to improve your career. You got.
All right. Well, welcome to my Super Bowl. I'm so honored to have you at the Capitol this morning. First off, I need to identify the smart people in the rotunda here. So, are there any 552 air control wing brothers and sisters here from Tinker? None? One. I see a couple. All right, I see a couple. Very good. We finally, yeah. Thank you, Todd. We finally reached a point where we've got more Air Force people at an Aerospace Day than we do Navy folks. And that makes me really excited because I was sick and tired of seeing more TACAMO folks here than Air Force aviators. So welcome to the Capitol, both Navy and Air Force, of course. As your chair of education in the state of Oklahoma, I can tell you I have been intentionally focused on workforce. And I know you've heard that a lot. But I want to take you back about 20 years, when I was getting out of the Air Force, nobody in the Transition Assistance Program told me about all the cool things happening in Oklahoma in the aerospace industry. And frankly, I think that was a disservice to all the uniform wearers who've been getting out of the Air Force and for the very first time have the opportunity to choose where they're going to live. We very specifically want our men and women in uniform to feel like this is the #1 place in the country to call home. When you take off that uniform and put a suit or a dress on for the very first time and enter the private sector, we want the aerospace industry, and specifically Oklahoma's aerospace industry, to be your first best opportunity to enter a job that is measuring helium at the edges of the universe with spacecraft, that is putting steel in people's heads in the interest of America's national security across the world, that maybe at some point we'll even be able to deliver a pizza in an autonomous vehicle from Dallas to Oklahoma City and it still be hot. Or even our commercial airline partners, where we have in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the largest commercial MRO facility in the world, in addition to the largest military MRO facility of the world between Tinker and the American Airlines MRO in Tulsa. I cannot tell you how much your participation in our economy means to the state of Oklahoma. Aerospace, as you probably already heard, is our fastest growing industry in the state. My goal, and I'm now in my 9th year in this building, my goal is by the time I walk out of here in 4 more years that aerospace is the #1 industry in the state of Oklahoma. And it's because of your work that we're on our way to making that happen. So I have one challenge to the business community that's here today representing a number of companies across the aerospace spectrum. Get in schools, get on military bases, and talk about how amazing this industry is. Talk about the high pay. Talk about the ability to stay connected to men and women in uniform. Talk about all the amazing things that aerospace is doing for the state of Oklahoma and Oklahoma's posture relative to American dominance around the world. Young people specifically need to hear your stories. They need to know what the opportunities are when they're sitting in a calculus class in Edmond North High School and they wonder why the heck they're there because they hate that class. They need to know why calculus is the bedrock of all engineering principles. And they need to know that we need thousands of engineers every year just to sustain what we're currently doing in Oklahoma and not accounting for the growth. 19-year-olds need to know that you can become a jet mechanic and make 6 figures, which is almost as much money as Mr. Kent made when he was in the Air Force. But you can literally make 6 figures as a jet mechanic, as a 19-year-old with a technical degree from a trade school, because we need you. We need logisticians and cybersecurity experts. We need supply chain experts. We need folks who can design aircrafts. The world needs 50,000 pilots by the end of 2030. So if you are interested in this career field, I hope that today you'll find an opportunity that grows that passion. I hope you'll connect with an employer or connect with someone who can become your mentor. Or if you're thinking about transitioning off active duty, that you'll connect with someone that'll give you a reason to stay here in Oklahoma and serve with all of us. So it's my honor to serve as your education chair and as your aerospace caucus chair as well. If there's anything that I can do for you today, please come and find me in my office. I won't be there because I'll be busy hanging out with all of you. But if you come by my office, leave your information, I'd be happy to connect with you. It's my honor to call to the stage, I think, our last speaker, and then you're going to go about and have a great day. Director Grayson Arties. Director Arties, thank you very much to you. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank one person who always is kind of behind the scenes, who helps make this happen, and that's Sandra Shelton. Sandra. I don't know a harder worker at the state capitol than Sandra Shelton. So Sandra, thank you very much for all that you do for our industry and for making today happen. Grayson, come on up here. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Thank you, Senator. Good morning, everybody. I know I stand between you and the rest of a very, very fun day. I just want to give out some accolades and thank you for attending today's event. This is an amazing activity for advocacy and awareness and support of our state's second largest industry. I won't belabor the process, but I do want to continue thanking Sandra. Thank you to the ODAA team, and thank you to our National Guard that helped put this on. There's a lot to be done between now and 2 o'clock, so I would encourage each one of you, after this speech is concluded, please go visit your lawmakers. There is several events coming up for our military members, our uniformed personnel. We will have lunch in 5:35. Lunch in 5:35 at 12 o'clock. We will have our first ever Aerospace Town Hall in the House Chamber on the 4th floor at 12 o'clock. You all are encouraged to attend. Students, you need to report to the plaza. Please report to the plaza before going to the Senate chamber. We will have a presentation here in a few minutes by AERO, but again, please go about throughout your day. Please advocate on behalf of your industry. Tell your story. If there's one challenge we have, is that aerospace and defense is a sleepy little industry and people do not know about it. We need to share that story, share that good message, share that good story of aviation aerospace across the state of Oklahoma, and I can promise you that the great things the legislature has done to date, the great things the legislature will do in years to come will be a lot easier for each one of us, and aerospace will become our #1 industry. Thank you all again. Enjoy.